Hello, this is Dawn from Crafting on the Green, and today I'm going to show you how I made this lovely little card. We've used some vellum, lots of die cutting, and obviously some sparkles and a lovely little bit of detail on the inside. So yes, I'm going to show you how I did this. First of all, the stamp set that I used is the new Birds and Branches. This is from the new 2020 to 2021 catalogue. It's an absolutely beautiful set. You can make some gorgeous looking birds. I also got the dies. So this is the Birds and More dies, and as you can see there's lots of things to choose from, and it does cut out pretty much everything I think on the stamp set. It has a corresponding die with a couple of extras as well. So first of all we're going to use this die here. This is a beautiful edging tool. So the bit we want to do first is the top and the bottom. So take our card, decide where you want the die to go. I want there to be a little bit on the top. I don't want it to be completely flush. So we'll line that up as straight as we can. Using the grid paper is quite handy. I'm just going to pop a little bit of tape on there just so it stays in place. So I'm just going to do some die cutting on it. Bear with me, it might be a little bit noisy just for the moment. I currently have one of the electronic machines. And whilst it's good, it is very noisy, as you can probably hear. But as I need to do die cutting on this one, I can't not do it. Okay, so there we go. This is what we've now got. So I'll carefully take this off here. It is a removable tape, but sometimes it can rip the card if you're not careful. There we go. So now we have our edge, and I'm just going to do the same to the other side because I want an extra piece about the same width. Line that up nice and straight. So we want another piece for the bottom. There we go. I'm just going to run this one through as well. Do bear with me. Get rid of all the little bits first. Okay, just going to run this one through now. This is the only bit of die cutting that I need to do while I do this tutorial. However, there is quite a little bit more that you'll need to do that I'll show you. But I did prepare a few bits earlier. So, okay, so we'll pop that on there. There we go. So now we should have the bottom piece as well. So we have quite a nice bit here of a scrap paper, so I wouldn't keep that for another day. I wouldn't waste it. And then we'll carefully try and pull this one off of here as well. There we go. So now we have our top and our bottom. As you can see, there's quite a few pieces stuck in here, so I use the end of the bristle brush and just run it through, and it will help you get rid of those. You can of course attach it to the tool that you get, the take a pick tool, but I find it's equally handy just to have on the side. Right, so that's our die cutting done for the moment. Out of the way. Okay, so now we've got our top and bottom. First thing we want to do is find the score line again. This is just a standard A6 size card. So if you half a sheet of A4 and then score along half again, it will give you A6. There we go. And I've used the colour Just Jade. It's one of our new in colours, which I think is gorgeous. So as you see, that will go perfectly on the bottom, and now we need to attach some vellum in the middle. So I've pre-cut a piece of vellum, and that will fit in there, and we're just going to glue that on top, and then we'll glue this one on the bottom. So for this I did use the fine tip glue pen. It's very handy, especially for getting in all the little nooks and crannies. It can come out quite quickly, so you don't need to squeeze too much. You just kind of draw it along and it will come out. There we go. So that's a little bit of glue just to help hold it down. One thing I will say is, as soon as you have finished using the glue, even if it's just for a minute, pop the pin back in the top, just so that it doesn't seal up, because it dries quite quickly. Right, so now we layer the piece of vellum where we want it. That one's cut a tiny bit short, but hopefully that won't matter. And unlike the Tombow, you will just need to hold it in place just for a few moments, just to help it stick. It doesn't take instantly. There's also no wiggle room as well. Once you've kind of put it down, it's really difficult to move it around, so you want to make sure it's in the right place when you do it. Okay, hopefully that's taken. Right, there we go. So now we've got the top bit, so I'm going to do the same for the bottom. I'm just going to lay that one out flat while I do this, just to make sure. I tend to get glue everywhere when I do the fine things, so I'm sure you'll be a little bit neater than I am. Right, go for the underside. Oh, it's giving us a bubble. So this will just help give a little bit of support on the bottom of the card, because obviously the vellum is quite thin, so we want to make sure that it will stand up, and it gives it a lovely border as well. Okay, that's enough. Pop that in there again. Oh, and now we'll try and line this one up. So how's that? Okay. So it looks like, having run it through the die cut, has actually extended the card a tiny bit. Obviously when it goes through it can really squish it, so it looks ever so slightly longer, but that's fine because we can just chop that off now. Do it from the underside. There we go. We'll just give that one more push just to make sure it's all stuck down. Okay, so now that we have got our base, and it doesn't matter if a few bits stick up either, it kind of adds to the charm, so that's why I haven't quite put glue on all of them. I'm going to pop that to one side. Next we want to add the birds, so we're going to use soft suede and early espresso. There we go. And we've got a few different bird stamps. We want to use, there we go. So as you can see, you've got the outline and then the shading for each one. So I've used soft suede. I'll take the shading first. Now, depending on what kind of card you're making, you might want to do a first or second generation, because there's actually quite a bit of difference in those ones. You'll see what I mean as well when I've stamped it up. So we use the early espresso now, and I'm going to do the detail. So just line it up about there. That's not come out all that well. We'll do it on the second generation. There we go, that looks better. I think this one's missing his eye. I think that's why he's not turned out very well. No, it's kind of there. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same again for the bird facing the other way. So we'll do a first generation and a second generation. And then we'll use the early espresso again for some detail. So again, you just line it up. This is where, if you have the Stamper Artist tool, this is where this will come in handy, especially if you've got lots of birds to do. Because you can line it up and you can get it perfect every single time. There we go. Lovely. Doesn't that look gorgeous? It just adds such nice detail to it. Okay, so they're the birds. We also want to do the feet. So I did these in early espresso. And I'll do 2 of each because you can always use the other birds that you don't use for something else. But I think it's a good idea to have a couple of extra on the go. So that's those bits. And then finally, let's just mine these out of the way. Try not to get a ink all over your finger. That's one of my tricks. Okay, close those away. Then I used Rococo Rose and I used the flower stamp just to add a bit of pink. And Rococo Rose is such a gorgeous colour. So I just want 3 of these. Squidge one in there. So you want to leave just enough space so you can get the dies around them all, but you do get dies with each of these, so it's great. There's no fussy cutting at all, which I know some of you will be pleased to hear. So once you've got this, run it through the die cutter a few times, and what you'll end up with is something like these. There's the other ones. I've cut quite a few out. And then the feet. There's his feet. And there's his feet. Okay, so that's what you'll end up with. But as I say, you do get all the dies. I'll just show you. So you've got the outlines here. You've got the flower, you've got the feet. You also got things like the heart. You can have... if you were to cut these out of early espresso, for instance, you'd just have a lovely outline of a bird. But I'm not using it on this. This is gorgeous. I don't have one of these to show you yet, but this gives an absolutely gorgeous sort of aperture in your card. And then you've got your nest, your eggs, all the other feet as well. So it's a brilliant set of dies. Right, so I'm going to pop that to one side, bring back our card. Oh, I also cut out, how can I forget, I cut out 2 of these from the same set. So this is just done in garden green, just to give it a slightly different shade of green as well. And you just need to kind of decide where you want them to go, because they're going to overhang slightly. Oh. Okay. So we're going to need to cut them. We're also going to need to glue them. So I think I want this one to be slightly lower, and that one can go about there. Right. So I'm going to use the fine tip glue pen again. So for this one I'm not going to go too far down the stem, because I'm going to be chopping some of it off. So I'll just add a bit to that. Try and get all the leaves. There we go. Right. So I wanted that to go somewhere about there. And again, just hold it down for a second to try and make sure it actually sticks. It does take that extra moment to do. You might also get a little bit of glue on your fingers whilst you do. But that's okay. What's crafting without getting sticky fingers, huh? Okay, and then we're just going to do it from the other side to make sure we get it all. Just snip off the overhanging bits. There we go. And then again on this side, we want to decide where we want it to be. So I think I'm just going to go with the individual branch. So we'll just snip that off of there. And that can just stick straight onto there. Perfect. Right. I think this one's got a little bit much in a couple of places. Right, hold it down again. There we go. And don't worry too much if the glue splodges out, although you will still see it slightly when it dries. We are going to cover quite a bit of it up with the birds and the flowers. So okay, let's wipe my fingers. I always have a baby wipe handy when I'm playing with all the glues. Let's pop this back in before it dries. Right, so now we've got the leaves and the branches on the cards. Now it's time to add the birds. So first thing I wanted to do, if I can pick him up, is put the legs on. So make sure you get the legs the right way round. When I first played with this set, I did manage to put the wrong legs on the wrong bird. It's very easily done. So I'm just going to use the Tombow glue now and just pop a very little bit of glue on the top of each leg. It's easier doing it this way around because you can actually see where you're trying to get him. About right. And because it's Tombow, you can also move it around a little bit until you're happy. And then I would say turn it over just to let it take, because otherwise it will end up sticking to your paper as well. How's that? There we go. Cannot seem to pick that one up. Right, there we go. Bit of glue on there, so we just wipe that a bit. Right, so now we want to decide where the birds are going to go. So I think I might pop him there. And the other bird there. Or maybe we could put him a bit higher. Right. Oop. So using the Tombow again, pop a dollop in the middle, a little bit on the tails, and then just a little bit for the feet. Right, he's going to go there. This definitely is one of the more sticky cards. I don't know if you can tell, my fingers are getting a bit sticky now. And I'm covering everything in glue. Right. There we go. As I've got a bit of glue there, I don't want it on the card. I'm just going to pop a bit of card over the top of it just to protect the one we're working on. Right, now we've got that bit, we want to add in the flowers as well. So a spot of glue on the back. So if there's any particularly almost messy bits that you've got a lot of glue coming out of, you can always pop a flower on top of it, which will definitely help. But it's not too bad. There's one over here. Goodness me, can't pick anything up today. Right. I'm going to pop that one there as well. I like having two together, at least somewhere on the card. Right, so now we've got our flowers in place. The next bit we want to do is to stamp the greeting. So I've used Happy Anniversary. This is from the stamp set Many Mates, which is also a new stamp set. And as you can see on here, you've got lots of different sentiments. So I've gone for the Happy Anniversary, mainly because I've got a few anniversaries coming up, so I thought it'd be nice to make a card for them, for my friends. So I have a piece of card and we want the Happy Anniversary stamp, and using the Memento black ink. So make sure that's loaded up. So when it comes to doing the sentiments, it's great for using up your scrap card. I have a folder full of scrap card, which is great. So I'm going to use the mini trimmer and just decide where we want that to be cut. There we go, nice and easy. So the mini trimmer was in fact a gift if anyone joined up at the start of the year, but it's not available to buy, at least not yet. Hopefully it'll be something that they bring out in the future. So let's try and tuck that in somewhere. Right, that will fit in there. Okay. Excuse me, bit of a croaky throat today. Right. So there we go. Oh. Just pop that under there. There's another good reason for leaving some of the leaves sticking up a little bit, just so you can tuck in the wording so it doesn't look quite so bold in front of everything else. Right, now finally for the front, we've got the rhinestones as usual, but I've also got out the 2020 to 2022 in colour enamel dots. So these are all the new in colours for the next 2 years. We've used just Jade on the card, but you've got your, I'm trying to remember the names now, Bumblebee, Cinnamon Cider, Misty Moonlight and Magenta Madness. I'll get used to these soon, I'm sure. So I've taken my craft knife, trusty craft knife, and we'll pick up one of these and the next one. Okay, and then I wanted to add some bling onto the flowers, so first thing I did, Wink of Stella, obviously. We love our Wink of Stella. Although I think this one's running out. Let me get the other one. There we go, that's better. So I don't know if you can quite see the shines that are coming through, but it does just give a lovely glittery effect. Right, And then finally for the front we want to just add some of our basic rhinestones, and I've popped them as centres in the flowers. There we go. So that's the front of the card. So there's lots of die cutting involved, but I think it looks quite fantastic. I hope you can see some of the shiny bits. Then for the middle, I used, what did I use? Early Espresso, and I've used the big old branch. And we want to just get it all over your thumb again. Pop that in about there. There is also a shorter branch within the stamp, so if you don't want to use the long one, there is just a short one, which is effectively just the end of it. But it's quite handy to have a short one. Then I used the leaf stamp and garden green again. There we go. And we just want to add the flowers. So the way that the stamp is, it should actually fit around the leaves, around the branches. So you can kind of line it up if you choose to, where it will fit on there. But then what I want to do is just add a second generation on there as well. And so that's the middle, and that is your card done. Absolutely beautiful. Something a little bit different for me, but I hope you like it, and I hope you'll give it a go. So that's it for me for now. I don't forget that I do regular Facebook Lives, and obviously I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, all under the name Crafting on the Green. So that's it for me for now. I shall see you next time. Bye bye.